So, can you have almost 24-hour a day air conditioning for about $60 US a month in the Philippines? The short answer is yes. Hey, good morning everybody. It's Ned over My Philippine Dreams. This is actually the second video that I'm doing in one day, hence the same clothing. About 6 weeks ago, I broke down and finally bought an inverter air conditioner. I had done a lot of research. I had checked out Carrier, Samsung, LG. I had shopped around, and I had found one at City Hardware. There's a store here in Dumaguete called City Hardware. Sometimes we call it Shitty Hardware. And they had an array of inverter aircons for sale under the name BostonBay. Now, being from Boston, I was pretty excited about that. So I asked them the details. Basically, for a 1 horsepower DC inverter air conditioner, it was 18,000 pesos. It was 5,000 pesos for the install. And you got to have, whatever company you're purchasing it from, they're going to want their guy to do the install. Otherwise, they'll void the warranty. So it came out to about 23,000 pesos total for 1 horsepower. Now, after canvassing the areas for available inverter air conditioners, I went back to the house and did some more research. And come to find out, BostonBay is actually Midea. Midea is a big Chinese air conditioning appliance company, and they make fairly quality stuff. And then I went over to Energy Guide Hong Kong, which is a site that has basically every air conditioner on there, the energy efficiency ratings, all that stuff. I did a lot more research. I compared it to the Carriers, the Samsungs, the LGs. And at the end, I decided basically to go with the rebranded Midea BostonBay from City Hardware. Now, before getting the inverter, I had good experiences with our Carrier Optimas. You might have heard me talk about the Carrier Optima. Each of our bedrooms, and our bedrooms are small. We have Filipino-sized bedrooms. One's a bedroom, one's the office. Our rooms are 10 feet by 11 feet by about 8.5 feet high. So they're small rooms. They're easy to cool off. I had purchased the 2 Carrier Optimas about 4 years ago. They have had no problems whatsoever. They're very dependable. But sometimes, because they're a little undersized for the rooms, they have a hard time keeping up with the heat, and it really doesn't get that comfortable in the heat of summer, April, May, that sort of thing. Also, each of the Optimas cost about 12,000 pesos as opposed to the 25,000 pesos for the DC inverter. But keep in mind that the Carrier is at 0.5 horsepower and the Midea BostonBay is 1 horsepower. Also, something to keep in mind that at this point, everything is made in China. Carrier, LG, Samsung, all the parts are sourced out of China. So when people get down on China brands, that's something that you have to keep in mind. I guess the key is quality control. Like Samsung, Carrier, and them, they have higher quality control insurance at their factories. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But once again, enough of me babbling. Let's get into the actual testing. Let's get into the actual numbers. The testing that I did was on 2 consecutive days. If you're in the Philippines, you'll know that this time of year, the weather's pretty much the same. The temperatures and the humidity levels were the same on both days. The first test was after 20 minutes to see what the temperatures were and what the energy usage was. And the second test was a 3-hour run to see the total watts consumed in that period. Also keep in mind that everything else in the house was unplugged during this, including the refrigerator. So I basically created little mini brownouts just to test the 2 air conditioners. And with that, let's take a look at the video testing. To give you some idea of the space, 10 feet by 11 feet by 8.5. This is what it looks like. This is the office. It's got a 57-inch TV, PlayStations, computer desk. Got a little thing over here with the guitars on it. You guys have seen this in videos before. It's not a large, and this is the same size as our bedroom. And we also got a little futon here. And so it's not a big space. Also, keep in mind, there is insulation on the ceiling. So this is the new BostonBay. To give you a size comparison, we still have the Carrier Optima, 0.5 horsepower right there, the window rattler. And this is the BostonBay, made in Boston. What's that? China? Oh, okay. It's made in China. So it's not a big head unit as compared to, like, you see other inverters. They got a long, it's usually narrower and longer. That's basically the size. For 18,000, you turn it on. It's got a little LED thing. It tells you the temperature. You can turn that off. We're gonna put it on Eco because I like Eco. It's got cool, dry, fan, all kinds of different modes. It's even got heat. I like the eco mode though. It's got a timer on it. It's got a follow me feature, sleep, all that stuff. And you can also turn the LED off so it's not as annoying. Now one of the cool things, and this was kind of like by accident, you can see that instead of being mounted like centrally like they normally do over the window, that's mounted like right there in the corner. And it's right over the futon. And I have it aimed directly at the futon, so you're always getting a nice breeze. And if you don't like the breeze, you can always just angle the fins back up because it's adjustable. So that's basically a size difference. It's not a big unit compared to the 0.5 horsepower. It's not cooling a big space, but it does a pretty damn good job and it does it fast. Okay, so with nothing plugged in except for our laptop charging, it's 0.007 kilowatt hours. And now we're gonna turn on the inverter. Okay, turn on the inverter, eco. All right, so it's starting up. It's at 2986, 237, 247, 254, 176. So it's kind of all over the place right now starting up. Again, that's the inverter going. Okay, so the carrier's on now, the 0.5 horsepower. It just started up, so it's 0.365, right around there. 376 kilowatt hours. I wonder if this is catching this. All right, 86 degrees, 82% humidity. We're gonna run it for 20 minutes. This is the new Midea inverter aircon. Starting now. And we'll come back in about 20 minutes and see what it's like. 86.2, 82% humidity. All right, so the 20 minutes is up with the inverter. We're at 81 degrees Fahrenheit at 56% humidity. It's very nice and comfy in here right now. I like it. Now, let's go see how much juice we're using at the meter. 20 minutes on the inverter. It's doing about 285. Usually it's down around 250, but it's around 285. Today's hot. It's 90 degrees. It's hot. So we're up at 285. Now we're gonna go check out the carrier, see how it does. All right, so bad cat. So we're in the bedroom now, which is the same exact size as the office, and we're gonna test the carrier 0.5 horsepower Optima, which I like. Right now it's 86.9, 74 degrees, right? And we're gonna set it for 20 minutes. And we're gonna see how this bad boy does. Go. I got to get this cat out of here in case she needs to pee. Go this way. Man, you got poopy feet. So we'll check that after 20 minutes, see how much juice it's using. All right, so 20 minutes later, and we are at 84 degrees, 84.2 degrees. 84.2 degrees and 67% humidity, not as good as the inverter. So we're gonna let this bad boy run for an hour and see what it's doing using for juice then. Okay, so about an hour with the carrier running by itself, it's at 682, whereas the inverter was around 285. So yeah, the compressor's on. With that old style, you either got compressor on or compressor off. So the compressor is on. With the inverter, the DC inverter, it can scale it depending on what the temperature is in the house or in the room. And Bridget thinks I'm a stranger because I have an umbrella. Who's that? Who's that, Bridge? Who's that stranger? Yeah, you better run. So that's basically it. I gotta go and crunch the numbers now. I gotta do an intro and an outro and all that stuff. But I'm glad I made the purchase. The prices on the inverters are really low, well, compared to what they were like 5 years ago. And they sip electricity, 285.285 285 watts per hour. That's not bad. Yeah, crunch numbers. All right, so in summation, and summations are good, the 1 horsepower inverter, the Midea BostonBay that I got, in 20 minutes it had dropped the temperature 5 degrees, that's Fahrenheit because I'm American and we're too dumb not to understand Celsius. And it had also dropped the humidity 26 percentage points. Over that same amount of time, 20 minutes, the half horsepower carrier had only dropped the temperature 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit and had only dropped the humidity 17 percentage points. Also remember that these are small rooms. The rooms are identical in size, 10 feet by 11 feet by 8.5 feet high. And both rooms have 1 jalousie window, and as we all know, jalousie windows aren't that good when you got air conditioning. Now for the 3-hour tests. Over the 3 hours, the inverter averaged about 259 watts per hour. That's on eco mode. That brings it down to about 80 degrees Fahrenheit with a relative humidity level of about 67%. Compared to that 259 watts, the carrier half horsepower actually consumed 422 watts per hour, and that's on a temperature selection on the knob. I had it set on 4, which brings the temperature down to about 81, 82 degrees and about the same level of humidity. Now, as the title of this video suggests, can you have 24-hour air conditioning for only about $60 US a month? Yes, you can. I've been tracking our electrical usage over the last month with the inverter, and I've been using it about 22 hours a day, and combined with our 57-inch LED TV, PlayStation 4, our desktop computer, our laptop, lights, refrigerator, all that stuff, the total kilowatt average has been about 10 kilowatt hours per day. 10 times 30 is 300, and you multiply that times 10 pesos per kilowatt hour, comes out to about 3,000 pesos or $60 US. Now, when I had the carrier and I was trying to run that bad boy 22 hours a day because it was April and it was really hot, we were looking at 14 to 15 kilowatt hours per day. So that's a significant difference. Also keep in mind that on the same day that I got the inverter air conditioner, I also purchased an inverter refrigerator, which is only using about a kilowatt hour per day. So, can you have almost 24 hours a day air conditioning in the Philippines for $60 a month? My experience, yeah. If you got small rooms, if you got some insulation in the roof, and if you have a somewhat leaky jalousie window, you can do it. Couple things to keep in mind. Make sure the air conditioner is the right size for the room. That 0.5 horsepower that we had was kind of struggling, which wasn't too cool. And with inverters, I guess you want to be overpowered rather than underpowered because you want to take advantage of that variable speed on the compressor. Also make sure the PCB board is coated because there are a lot of geckos and bugs and all kinds of stuff that crawl into the outside unit. And early inverters had a big problem with the geckos coming in and blowing up the PCB boards. If it's not covered, or if it's not coated, if the PCB is not coated, you could probably take some sort of screening and cover the ports as best you can to try to keep the little critters out. So that's basically it. I hope this has been of some use. If you have experience switching from conventional to inverter air conditioners, please leave your experience down in the video comment section. Until next time, it's Ned over My Philippine Dreams. Puppies, rainbows, unicorns, and inverters for all. Bye. 10 times 30 is 3,000. No. Really? Really? Face kiss. Face kiss. Face kiss. Face kiss. No. No. She's still a kisser. She's still a licker. All right, go. Hey, if you consider our work to be of any value, consider supporting us on Patreon. If you're a Patreon, you get a free copy of my ebook, and we do monthly Google Hangouts. So consider doing that, if you would please.